If you don't have the receipt, you can't get a full refund, but at least you'll be off my books." My mother, a woman who prides herself on her pearl necklaces and her perfectly manicured lawn, said those words into her floral-patterned iPhone while I stood 3 feet away, holding a tray of lukewarm appetizers for her bridge club. I wasn't a defective toaster. I wasn't a dress with a torn seam. I was her 24-year-old daughter, and she was currently negotiating my return to a man I hadn't seen since I was 3 years old. And while I'm getting started, don't forget to subscribe. This is where we'll find the wildest family dramas, real-life revelations, and stories you won't be able to tear yourself away from. My name is Maya. For 2 decades, I have been the invisible scaffolding holding up the grand edifice of my mother's life. When my stepfather, Richard, walked out 5 years ago, I was the one who stayed. I postponed my master's degree to work 2 jobs to pay the mortgage she couldn't afford but refused to give up. I am the one who listens to her 3-hour monologues about the betrayal of men, while I scrub the floors until my knuckles bleed. I am the daughter of duty, the child of the shadows, the girl who learned early on that her mother's love was a currency I had to earn every single day. My mother, Diane, is a master of the emotional pivot. She can go from a weeping victim to a sharp-tongued socialite in the span of a single breath. To her, people are assets or liabilities. And lately, according to the spreadsheet she keeps in her head, I had become a liability. The antagonistic force in my life, however, isn't just Diane. It's my half-sister, Chloe. Chloe is 10 years younger, the product of Diane's glory years with Richard. Chloe is gold-plated. She is the girl who gets the cars, the clothes, and the constant praise for simply existing. Chloe looks at me not as a sister, but as a domestic employee who happens to share her DNA. She inherited Diane's sharpness but none of her tact. The inciting incident, the moment my world didn't just crack but shattered, happened on a rainy Tuesday. I found a folder on the kitchen island. It wasn't hidden. Diane doesn't hide things from me because she assumes I'm too tired or too subservient to care. Inside were legal documents, old letters with yellowed edges, and a printout of a Facebook profile. The name on the profile was Marcus Thorne, my biological father. But it wasn't just a search. It was a dossier. There were notes in the margins in Diane's elegant cursive. Current net worth, $4.2 million. Real estate holdings in Sedona. Unmarried. No other children. And then, the sentence that made the room spin. Maya is his responsibility now. I've paid enough. I felt a coldness wash over me that I can't describe. It was the realization that I wasn't a person to her. I was a debt she was tired of servicing. The confrontation started that evening. I waited until Chloe was upstairs on TikTok and Diane was sipping her 3rd glass of Chardonnay. I placed the folder on the table between us. "What is this, Mom?" I asked. My voice was steady, but my insides were a riot of static. Diane didn't even flinch. She took a slow sip of her wine, her eyes tracking the movement of a moth near the ceiling. "It's your future, Maya. Don't be dramatic. I've been talking to Marcus. He's very successful now. He feels guilty. And frankly, with Chloe's private school tuition increasing and the roof needing work, it's time he took his turn." "Took his turn?" I whispered. "I'm 24. I'm an adult. I'm the one paying the electric bill, Mom. I'm the one who paid for Chloe's braces. And you've been a wonderful help," she said, her voice dropping into that terrifyingly soft register she uses when she's about to strike. "But you're stagnant here. You're depressing to look at sometimes, Maya. All that self-sacrifice, it's heavy. Marcus wants to make it up to you. He's offered to buy you a condo in Arizona. He's offered to settle a reimbursement to me for the years he missed." The word reimbursement hit me like a physical blow. She wasn't just sending me away. She was selling me back. She was cashing in a 20-year investment. I felt the tears prickling, but I refused to let them fall. "Did you tell him that? That I'm for sale?" "I told him," she said, standing up and smoothing her silk skirt, that his daughter is available to get to know him. If that comes with a financial reconciliation for the hardship I endured raising you alone, then that is only justice. The next week was a psychological war zone. Diane started packing my things when I was at work. I would come home to find my books in cardboard boxes, my childhood trophies in the trash. When I tried to unpack them, Chloe would stand in the doorway, smirking. "Just go, Maya," Chloe said, popping a piece of gum. "Mom says if you leave, I get your room for my dressing area. Plus, you're going to be rich. Why are you acting like a martyr? It's pathetic. It's pathetic." The words looped in my head. Was it pathetic to want to be loved for who I was, rather than what I could provide? The tension escalated when Marcus Thorne actually showed up. He didn't look like a monster. He looked like an older version of me. The same dark eyes, the same nervous habit of tapping his pen against his thumb. He stood in our living room, looking around at the expensive furniture I had dusted and polished, and he looked ashamed. "Maya," he said, his voice thick with a regret that felt 10 years too late. "Your mother said you were unhappy. She said you wanted a fresh start, that you were asking about me." I looked at Diane. She was leaning against the doorframe, a picture of maternal concern. "I just want her to have the life she deserves, Marcus," she cooed. The internal monologue in my head was screaming. "She's lying. She's selling me. She's trading me for a roof repair and a sister's vanity." The peak of the drama came during a final family dinner. Diane had insisted on it. She even bought a cake. "Good luck, Maya," was written in pink frosting. It felt like a funeral for someone who wasn't dead yet. As the meal progressed, Marcus started talking about the condo. He started talking about repaying Diane for her grace. He pulled out a checkbook. The air in the room felt thick like unpoured concrete. "I've calculated the adjusted inflation for the child support I missed," Marcus said, his voice trembling slightly. "And a little extra for the house. Diane, you've done a remarkable job with her." Diane reached for the check, her fingers twitching with greed. "It was a struggle, Marcus. You have no idea the sacrifices I made." That was it. The snap. The sound of a thread finally breaking under too much weight. "Stop," I said. It wasn't a shout. It was a command. The table went silent. Chloe stopped texting. Marcus froze. Diane's hand stayed hovered over the check. "I am not a warranty claim," I said, my voice rising, vibrating with 20 years of suppressed truth. "I am not a defective product you get to return because the maintenance is too high. Mom, you didn't raise me. I raised you. I raised Chloe. I paid the bills you hid under the rug. I gave up my life so you could keep up appearances for people who don't even like you." "Maya, sit down," Diane hissed, her face flushing a deep, ugly purple. "You're making a scene." "I'm making a reality check." I slammed my hand on the table, the silverware rattling. I turned to Marcus. "She didn't call you because I was unhappy. She called you because she found out you had money. She's not giving me a father, she's giving herself a payout. Look at the folder in the kitchen, Marcus. Look at her notes on your net worth. You're not a parent to her, you're an ATM." Marcus looked at Diane, then back at me. The shame on his face deepened. "Is that true, Diane? You told me she was begging to see me." Diane scrambled. She tried the victim pivot. "I did what was best. We are drowning, Marcus. Do you know what it's like to maintain this status? Maya was supposed to help, but she's so resentful." "I am resentful," I yelled. "I am resentful that I had to be the mother in this house since I was 12. I am resentful that you see me as a line item on a budget." I grabbed the check from the table. Before Diane could grab it, I ripped it into a dozen pieces and threw them into the bowl of pasta. "The deal is off," I said, looking Diane in the eye. "I'm leaving. But I'm not going with Marcus to some condo in Arizona to be his guilt fix. And I'm certainly not staying here to be your servant." The falling action was a chaotic blur of manipulation. Diane began to wail, a theatrical, high-pitched sound, claiming her heart was failing. Chloe started screaming that I was ruining her life, because now she wouldn't get my room. Diane tried to grab my arm, her voice shifting from sobbing to venomous. "You'll starve," she shrieked. "You have nothing. I'll tell everyone you stole from me. I'll make sure no one in this town hires you." "I've already been hired, Mom," I said, walking toward the stairs. "I applied for that assistantship in Chicago 3 months ago. I got it. I was staying because I thought you needed me. I was staying because I thought I owed you for the sacrifice of my birth. But I've realized something tonight. I packed my bags in 20 minutes. I didn't take the books she bought or the clothes she chose. I took what was mine, the things I had bought with my own hard-earned money." As I walked down the stairs for the last time, Marcus was standing by the door. He looked broken. "Maya, I really do want to know you. Without the money. Without her." I looked at him. I saw the same dark eyes. But I also saw the man who had stayed away for 20 years. "Maybe someday, Marcus. But right now I need to know myself. And that starts with being away from everyone who thinks I have a price tag." I walked out into the night. The rain had stopped, and the air smelled like wet earth and freedom. Behind me, I could hear Diane screaming at Marcus to write another check, and Chloe complaining about the noise. I got into my beat-up car, the one Diane always called an eyesore, and I drove. I didn't look in the rearview mirror. The moral takeaway is this: some people will only love you as long as you are useful. They will treat your heart like a transaction and your soul like a commodity. But you are not a product. You are not a debt to be repaid. You are the owner of your own life, and sometimes, the only way to find your value is to walk away from the people who keep trying to sell you short. My mother tried to return me like a warranty claim, but she forgot one thing: I was never hers to own. I'm Maya. And for the first time in my life, I'm not the help. I'm not the project. I'm just me. And that is more than enough.